we've been hearing a lot about this Stingley kid, okay? Some people say he's the best player in this year's draft. He's a bona fide Jalen Ramsey, bona fide Darrelle Revis. They think he's a complete shutdown corner in the NFL. This guy is going to be a bona fide star once he walks on the field in an NFL uniform. What are your thoughts to Stingley, and where do you think he falls?
I personally think he's a little bit overrated at this point. And it's not that he's a good player, not that he won't go top 5. I think the workouts are going to be great, 6'1", 200, 4'3". It's going to be like, oh, this guy is great. But you watch him as a freshman, true freshman, he was dominant. He was who people are talking about. He was covering guys that were 2, 3, 4 years older than him very fluidly. He looked like he really understood the mirror. He was doing a lot of film study. You watch him this past year before he got hurt. You even watched him last year, and he wasn't playing as well. It seemed like the mental side of the game was kind of passing him a little bit. I don't know if it's an effort issue. I don't know what the issue was, but he would read wrong routes. He would kind of play off a little bit and not, bump and use his physicality. The makeup speed that we know he has just wasn't there. He wasn't getting back to the receiver when the ball was in the air. So I think there are some issues with his game. I don't think he's the perfect prospect that people want to put out there. I think there's a chance he's not the first corner off the board, that Andrew Booth from Clemson could go ahead of him. So I think Stingley is going to impress this offseason. There's no doubt about that. But I think he might be a little bit overblown, maybe similar to Patrick Surtain, who's having a great season with the Broncos, but people had as a top 5 guy and fell out of the top 10. I think it could be what we're talking about here.
So from LSU player to an LSU coach now, they make a big splash with Brian Kelly. We saw the USC get Lincoln Riley.
That's not a big splash.
A lot of no,
that's an expensive splash.
I know. I'm not saying I'm advocating for
Never
it. Never
going to win with that guy.
It's a flashy hire. So of these carousel of coaches that have gone around college football, we just saw Oklahoma bringing Brent Venables from Clemson. What is there one hire that stands out to you as being like the best of the bunch, and maybe one of the bigger ones that you think will crash and burn?
I hate to just, I guess, kind of write what seems like the biggest one, but I think Lincoln Riley, the Southern Cal, is easily the best. He was a top 5 coach in college football before that move, and to get a top 5 coach in college football to come to your program, I think is tremendous. And I understand it from his point of view. He didn't want to go to the SEC, and the school said, screw you, we're going to take the money. Well, he can walk right out too and go to the Pac-12 and maybe have an easier time. I just think when you have a guy that's produced number 1 overall quarterbacks in the NFL draft as consistently as he has, you can't deny that. And their true freshman quarterback there, Jackson Dart, has been exceptional and fits this offense. So I think that's going to be one of the best. I'm a little bit scared, even though I like him as a coach, Billy Napier going to Florida. He's saying what should be right, that he wants to kind of take his time with recruits and hiring coaches and get it right. And that sounds great. But Florida has lost half their recruiting class in the past week. They're down to 66th overall, with the likes of Toledo, I think, in recruiting rankings. Like it's getting bad. Like it's burning already, and you have to do something to kind of repair that. And so I definitely have a fear he could just get himself behind the 8-ball roster-wise and just be stuck.
So these coaching moves are obviously to get not in Florida's case, but normally when you bring in a new coach, it's to help get better recruits. And every 8 years, there seems to be this next dynamite quarterback kid. There was Luck, then they kind of tried to put Trevor Lawrence in that light. Obviously, it didn't work. Then there was obviously Elway and Peyton. Obviously, the next gem is Archie Manning. Archie Manning's by far the best high school quarterback in football, probably the best high school player right now in football, if I had to take a blind eye at it. And that family's royalty. How do you think Archie Manning will do? And there are reports that he's better at this age than both Peyton and Eli were at that age. Should we believe this hype? Is he going to dominate in the college ranks, or is this just a kid that's set up for failure?
I think it's tough. It's a tough situation, I think, to have that name attached to you, to have these expectations.
He's going to Bama, isn't he? Is he
What's
going?
that?
He hasn't decided yet.
No, he's going. I heard it's Bama is like one of the lead teams. So
yeah, name a team, and they have offered him,
Yeah.
and he's gone to. When my favorite was when he went to Ole Miss, and they had Eli Manning Day, and they put Manning in the end zone. Not for him; it was for his uncle, just to celebrate him. But these teams are going all out. I think he's good. I think what he brings to the table that obviously Eli and especially Peyton did not was athletic ability. Cooper Manning was the most athletic of the three and got injured. So Arch Manning has some of that. He can run. He's not Lamar Jackson, but he's Daniel Jones. Like, he can pick up and move and run for a long gain. And I think that's exciting. You see his pass. Do I think he's as good as maybe the recruiting is? I've watched some of his high school film. I don't think so. I don't think he's heads and tails above Malachi Nelson, who's now going to Southern Cal. Like, I think the name has pumped him up a little bit more maybe than he is. So I'm scared the expectations are a bit high.
I agree with you. We are talking to Draft Countdown managing partner and analyst Shane Hallam. So, Shane, we look at the draft, and there's no bona fide superstar that you could really say, oh, that guy's going to be a bona fide superstar. In the last couple of years, has there been a player in the last two drafts that really stuck out to you, that was drafted later in the first round or later in the second and third round, that really has really poked at you and said, wow, I didn't think he was going to be this good?
There's always players that I think emerge that maybe I didn't think should go there, and then they turn out to be much better than you expected. I'll say from that kind of 2020 class, I really liked Justin Jefferson. I thought he was a good player. I had him pretty high on my board, but I wasn't sure if he was just a slot guy, if it was going to be this kind of dominant performance. I mean, watching him week in, week out, he is just maybe the best receiver in football. I think you can make an argument, even if he doesn't have the size of DK Metcalf or, it doesn't have the years under him. He's just breaking records left and right. I really did not think he would be better than the top of that class. I had Jerry Jeudy above him, I had CeeDee Lamb above him. I just think Justin Jefferson has done unbelievable, and I was surprised to see him, especially come out of the gate and do that as a rookie, what he did last year.
Elijah Moore, what did you think about the Jets getting him in the second round, and how do you think he's performed really in the second half of the season?
I was a fan. I had him rated as a late first, early second round pick, so I thought it was appropriate for them. And one thing I was kind of wrong on, I really thought he was going to be this electric slot receiver, going to be excellent. They've actually been playing him more these past 3 weeks outside, and he's been better. So to me, that says volumes about his ability to be able to get off the line of scrimmage, to be able to beat a jam, something he did not have to face at Mississippi. That he's doing that for the Jets now. I mean, that's a huge step, because if you have a guy that size that can beat a physical corner off the line of scrimmage, I mean, he's going to be really tough to stop. I think his best years are ahead of him. If Zach Wilson can live up to expectations, I mean, it could end up being a really good passing game.
Before I get to my question, Carl says David Montgomery is better than I thought, and Jeff says Arch to LSU going to happen, and naturally in all capital letters, Zaven.
Well, if he goes to play for Brian Kelly, watch out.
So Shane, from both the fantasy perspective and also the draft perspective, the running back position now is kind of being, in terms of a feature back, kind of died out, especially with injuries now to a lot of the top running backs. Dalvin Cook's now hurt. Derrick Henry, his first big injury, now he's probably out for the season. Christian McCaffrey 2 years in a row. We've seen it with a lot of different running backs. So what is the strategy in your mind from a fantasy perspective when it comes to that? And also judging the draft down the road, are you going to see these guys be first-round picks or even second-round picks anymore to the same level?
I think you see why a lot of these running backs are falling down the NFL draft board, because one injury can put them out, and we don't even know if Cam Akers is going to be able to come back from an Achilles. That's really all it takes. Not any football player, but at running back, where you take those hits, I think it's an issue. The 2023 draft will be the big test. We have Bijan Robinson out of Texas. He's going to be on that Saquon Barkley kind of level. How high is the team going to take him? That's going to be really the interesting piece. I think from a fantasy perspective, to me, it is about, you kind of have to take your shot, one guy early. But hey, if it was Derrick Henry, it didn't work out, or Dalvin Cook or Christian McCaffrey, right? Yeah, I think you have to take a shot early. And then I just really like to gather a lot of these backup running backs, because at this point, I think in the future, a couple of them are going to hit. Even if you took some guy that's backing up Joe Mixon or whatever, that hasn't gotten in. If you drafted some of these backups, you drafted Alexander Madison. I mean, he's winning you games. You drafted Javonte Williams. That is working out for you. I think it's almost throw a bunch of things at the wall, draft these backups, and when a guy gets hurt, then fantasy-wise, you can plug in your RB2 and you're good to go. So I like get one solid RB1 and then really just throw the rest of the wall. And my receivers are great. Every other position's great, and you can win that way.
It's funny you say that. I took Nick Chubb 1, and I didn't address my running back again. So, obviously, talking about running backs, I believe right now, if the MVP should be given out to the fair winner, it should be Jonathan Taylor, and I really don't think there should be an argument made for that. Who is your MVP? Stop.
I could argue that right now.
Stop. Aaron Rodgers. I know, Aaron Rodgers. You love Aaron Rodgers. I get it.
26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions? What are you talking about?
If it's going to be a quarterback, you go back to Tampa Bay.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Tampa Tom is waiting for his MVP.
Listen to this idiot.
So wait a minute.
Don't listen to him. He's an idiot. Don't listen to him.
Hear that? Don't listen to me.
Don't listen to him.
Don't listen to me at all.
He attacks your Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't listen to him.
I'm sorry to tell you, I've been dead on about your Pittsburgh Steelers.
You've been dead on, all right.
I have.
Dead.
I said they'd be
the word is dead. That's about it.
I said they'd be below 500, and that's what they're on pace to do. So how was I wrong?
I think they're above 500, so that would.
They're 6-5-1. You're going to lose this weekend. It's okay.
Hold on, 6-5-1, and they're in a playoff race. What are you talking about?
They'll end below 500.
You're an idiot. Go ahead. Ask
they
the
will
question.
end below
ask
500.
The question.
Who is your MVP in the NFL at this point in time, and why?
I mean, I think it is tough. Unfortunately, I think I do have to go Tom Brady right now as the MVP. And I think Rodgers, Taylor, I think it should be more in the conversation. I even think Kyler Murray missed a ton of weeks, but when he's been electric. So I really think it's kind of a 3-person race: Brady, Rodgers, and Taylor. What Brady's been able to do this past game, where they just just give up on the run and just not
play the Falcons. Give me a break. I mean, anybody can throw against that team. Give me a break.
He's done it all year.
Oh, give me a break.
All year.
The last 3 weeks, he hasn't looked good.
Brady.
He hasn't looked.
He looked great last week, so you're wrong again.
He played it. I just told you who he played, you idiot. Jesus, man.
By the way, AJ Terrell is having a freaking amazing season.
I'm not taking shots at Brady. If you want to put Brady there, that's fine. But when you have Aaron Rodgers, 23 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, and he's right now playing on the best team right now in the NFL in a lot of people's minds, I'm going with him. That's just my opinion. And he was the MVP last year, so he's done it back-to-back years. It just shows you what he does with the least amount of talent around him. Anyways, we are talking to Draft Countdown managing partner and analyst Shane Hallam. So with the NFL going the way it is, and you see how the Eastern, the AFC, I say the Eastern and the West, but the AFC is fallen, and it's just, there's no predominant real superstar team. I mean, the Patriots have played well this year. They have, especially in the second half. They've played very well with a rookie quarterback. The pressure is going to be on the rookie quarterback in the big game. That's going to be a huge problem going into a playoff game against some of these top-end defenses. When your thoughts of the AFC, who do you think stands out as the beast from the AFC? And really in the NFC, the predominantly very top-heavy NFC, who do you think is the beast in the NFC?
So I think for the AFC, and I think this extra week has maybe even made this, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
I think a team can still get hot and really take it. And I think to me, honestly, I wouldn't have said this 5 weeks ago, but I think the Chiefs are back to that status in the AFC, right? Getting crushed by the Titans and getting crushed by the Bills. Okay, this team's done. But that defense, they've made adjustments. They've stepped up. Beat the Packers in a low-scoring game, dropped 41 on the Raiders. I think the offense isn't quite there, but I feel like it's going to get there, right? We still have some confidence in the defense is actually coming together, which is was my biggest worry. So I think the Chiefs, the Patriots are going to be good. I don't think Mac Jones can carry them if they get behind.
Either do I.
So I think the Chiefs to the AFC, and I'm with you on the Packers. I mean, I think the Packers have that balanced defense. If they can get some of the injured guys back, which should happen later in the season, then I think the Packers are probably the best team in the NFC.